Hello, boys and girls. I have a special message for you from the President of the United States.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
This is Walter Cronkite in our newsroom, and there has been an attempt, as perhaps you know now, on the life of President Kennedy.
The initial attack on the destroyer Maddox on August 2nd was repeated today.
Psychological warfare operations went into high gear.
In retaliation for this unprovoked attack on the high seas, our forces have struck the bases used by the North Vietnamese patrol craft.
It would allow the president to wage war in Vietnam.
Just running scared.
In 1976, Flight 455, which took off from Venezuela bound for Cuba, suddenly exploded. All 73 passengers and 5 crew members aboard died after the plane crashed near Barbados.
William Colby has been missing since April 27th. His canoe was found washed up on the banks of the Wicomico River April 28th.
He's missing and presumed drowned after an apparent boat. I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad.
I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
That's gospel.
All right, what is the Trilateral Commission? It's an organization founded in 1973 by David Rockefeller.
They're really up to is a scheme to plant their own loyal members in positions of power in this country, to work to erase national boundaries and create an international community, and in time bring about a one world government with David Rockefeller calling the shots.
I understand he was tapped for Skull and Bones.
Tapped for it? Sir, he founded Skull and Bones.
It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad.
We have got to fight and stand up. It's not going to be easy, but I'll assure you this. We can, and we will, and we must prevail.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Good to see you. We've only got about 25, 30 minutes with you until you got to go catch your plane.
Right.
We appreciate you coming into InfoWars. Michael Rotondo, also known as the Man of the Week.
Player of the Week.
They are what's saying the 30-year-old perp man that was just evicted by his parents in New York.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I appreciate your courage coming down here to Texas.
Sure thing.
And I just want to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, people that have drug problems or people that are mentally ill or people that are criminals, you are not even on that scale.
Great. That's nice to hear.
Well, I'm not trying to be condescending. The media made you the ultimate demon in the world, both liberal and conservative media. Even the left that pushes dependency and paying for people's anchor babies and sex changes. I shouldn't have paid for somebody's sex change or their nose job. And so I was kind of jumping on you a few days ago, a little bit, but still saying, wait a minute. But he's not 1/10 as bad as all these other people. I'm not saying I disagree with your parents wanting you out of the house at 30. What I am saying is that this whole millennial thing we see of people being obsessed with their phones, being obsessed with television, not going out, not getting jobs, being afraid of change, I think you are indicative of that and actually very, very common. And I don't mean that in a mean way.
Okay.
What is your world perspective on that?
Well, I think that I've just been doing the best I can, and I've been setting forth a reasonable effort. And I don't think there's really anything wrong with the things that I've done, or I stand behind the things that I've done thus far. So that's it.
What do you think, because Drew asked this question earlier, what do you think your biggest accomplishment in life has been?
Well, Drew asked, and I said it was the belief that I'd raised a child who I thought was smarter than myself, and he said, you're not speaking with regard to my son. I would say that it would be my use with computers that I've managed, the skill that I've managed to acquire from that, from pursuing that, I think is a pretty significant.
When I talk about my accomplishments, I don't do it to talk about how I'm big or how I'm great. I don't go to red carpet events. I don't try to be in movies, even though I could be. I don't try to do that regular hierarchical stuff. But I should talk about my accomplishments sometimes, because then it gives other people confidence.
What would you say your biggest accomplishment is?
Well, you had asked me that
whole life.
You had asked me that off air earlier, and I actually know why you got taken back by Drew's. It's a big question, and I don't really think I can answer that honestly. I think I was just about to try to say
it's not an easy question.
I've done some big things politically, changing things in the world, but I think the most important thing in my life was studying history early on and not buying into the false paradigms, and then helping launch really a large vein of the global awakening we're seeing right now, and rebooting 1776 worldwide, Americana, the Renaissance. I'm going to talk to you, but Nigel Farage, the founder of UKIP, that had the whole Brexit, that's now spreading all over the world as people pull out of globalism. You probably heard of Brexit, right?
I have.
He's credited on the air that UKIP was around for about 15 years before I ever had him on. But he said as soon as he came on InfoWars, there was no media would have him on in the UK, that about half the constituents he would go knock on the door spreading the UK Independence Party were listeners of ours, and that was the ignited, awakened group that then triggered into that.
So you said you set forth some significant change in your...
Well, according to him, yeah. But you never know. Even when I was on Access TV, I got to be friends with Mike Judge, and he would show me some of the notes. He couldn't find the VHS tape. I had no idea that King of the Hill the idea came from my show. And I'm not bragging, but there I was on Access TV in 1995, 96.
Mm-hmm.
And the weirdness, one of the top TV shows ever, you later become friends with Mike Judge. He's like, no, actually, here's the notes. The three Dales. And look, Alex Jones. And then the idea of he kind of split the character of Hank Hill and of the other guy that's a conspiracy theorist with me. But the point is, you never know how you're affecting the universe, is what I'm saying.
I can appreciate that. That's why I always just try to do what I think is best. But
I wasn't trying to brag about some of my accomplishments to you so that you would feel small and I would feel big.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to explain to you that when I was on Access TV, a lot of times running it by myself,
right,
in a little control room in East Austin, driving by people that were shot and killed routinely. I mean, literally, I'd drive over there at night to get on air. So that's when you could get time was late, and there'd be people on 11th and Chicon dead. I had people try to carjack me. And so I wasn't like, oh, I don't really like this. This is dangerous. Or, oh, I'm not going to be successful. I was over there. I edited my first film on three-quarter inch tape. These were 1980s cameras, this big. No one wanted them. And they said, nobody's even using that. And I said, well, I want to edit a film. I don't have money for a camera. I don't have money for any of it. So I got a regular camera, VHS, dumped it down to 3/4 inch so I could hand edit it.
Some of the camera.
Some of the soundtrack I cut on reels,
and
I spliced it, and then I put the film out in 97, and I made $500,000.
That sounds like a good one. A good
just live coaching here with you is, because we already did hours on air and you did a lot of talking. Jump in if you want. Is that I was in an old car that was breaking down all the time because I didn't want my dad and mom's money. They weren't rich, but they'd help me move out, but that was it.
Right.
I had a full-time job, so I would go there at night because the editing bays, you could only use the editing bays. Everybody else had time as producers there. When I was first there, I had no seniority. So I'd have to go on average at 2 in the morning. And then I'd still have to get up, even though I had to go work at 8, at like 7. So I go sleep for 2 hours. It's like my dad did when he was going to medical school. He worked for the railroad. And for years, he only got 2 or 3 hours sleep a night. He aged probably 10 years in those 3 or 4 years of medical school. But he did 4 years of medical school in like 3. But that's what I'm saying is he busted his ass. Just the way I went and did all that, made a film, was on only like 15 radio stations, but said, buy my VHS film, America Destroyed by Design. Now that $500,000, I didn't go get a house. I didn't go get a new car. I put it all back into computers and equipment and employees. And I hired 4 or 5 people and spent all that money that year and paid my taxes. And the next year, I brought in $2 million. Until I brought in like, $40 million. But again, you sell product for 50% off, you bring in $20 million and you pay everybody and all of it, then I spend most of the money. But see, that's just like Amazon. It's an evil company. Almost never takes profit. All they do is dump it back in to be dominant. And now that they're going profitable, they're going to be the most profitable company in the world. Does that make sense?
It does. Don't they pay dividends? Doesn't their stock pay dividends, though?
Yes. And the way they manipulate it, they don't want to pay taxes, so they say there's no profit.
Right. When did you get a good accountant?
You what?
When did you get a professional accountant?
I'm not. My goal, you have to get to the globalist level where you don't have to pay taxes. And then they have special accountants that are political. I pay a lot of taxes because I'm just a regular guy. When I use those numbers like $20 million, that's to run this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this to make money.
Okay.
You understand? If I was doing it to make money, this is ideological.
It'd be set up different is what you're saying.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
See, I took the money from being a big syndicated radio show where there's normally a web guy that posts a few stories, and it's a model where you just say, look at this photo on my website, look at this one article. Everybody goes to that, you hype that. You have advertising, and then you keep 95% of the money. And then you pay a guy to screen calls and somebody to answer the phone and somebody to run the board. So you got 4 or 5 employees, and they're all paid $50,000 a year, and then you're paid $10 million a year, and then that's it. But I took what Rush Limbaugh does, and I took the money because we bring in more than Rush Limbaugh does every year, but we don't keep it.
You put it back.
And it wouldn't be bad if we kept it. Exactly.
To drive something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's what happened recently is I thought I'll go ahead and just I'm not going to say the case. I'll go ahead and do this mediation with folks because they're going to sue me for something. And I did the mediation. They said, well, let's see your bank records. They thought I was making myself like $20 million a year. When they saw the records of my tax returns, they said, okay, we're done. Bye-bye. It was over. And it's not that it's bad to make money if you like invent a better widget or you're a football player.
Right.
With me, I'm throwing everything I've got at the enemy. You understand that?
Right.
So for me, it's a hierarchy of needs. I'm not wanting a private jet. I have guests that come on the show that are smaller talk shows hosts than me. But because it's just them and their advertisers, they have a big audience. If you got an audience of 2 million people a day, they got an audience like 5-6 million, you can make $6-7 million a year if you do that model. But see, I do the model where I don't get that much money, but I change the world. So see, there's values there. There's what you're looking for. Does that make sense?
It does. I love what I'm hearing from you. I don't hear things like that often.
I'm not looking at my watch because I don't want to talk to you. I wish I wouldn't have gotten here late because we only got 25 minutes left. And I didn't mean to get in here and start going off on a jag talking about myself. I just wanted you to know that it's easy to call you a bum like the media's called you. But they're the ones promoting that I pay for people to have their genitals cut off. You know, there have been millions of sex changes in this country that taxpayers paid for. Now, I don't have to pay for you getting a nose job, do I?
I don't think so.
Should I?
No, I like my nose the way it is.
No, but I'm saying you have a nice nose.
Thanks.
You have a noble nose. People look at my wife and she's got a big nose and they go, oh, look, she's Jewish, all these damn racist. And I go, well, she's not Jewish. She's actually German. But I like my wife's noble nose. I like it. I don't want a little Barbie nose. So that's how that works. But anyways, that's a side issue. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. In fact, my wife's little sweetheart, she's like, should I get a nose job? When she read these comments. And I said, no, baby, we're getting a divorce. You get a nose job. I like her nose. And she's getting everything is Some people want the helicopter, they want the jet, they want the biggest mansion. What do I want?
You want to spread what you want to make some change. You want to, shake up some things. You want to.
Which is human empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is human empowerment?
I would say encouragement.
That's a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to go through some pain to get that gain.
Okay.
I went and saw Deadpool, and Josh Brolin looks like he is, at 3% body fat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you got to believe he probably went through some real pain to get that gain.
Mm-hmm.
My wife has a crush on Josh Brolin.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways, side issue. I met Josh Brolin once, and
what does he think of that?
He didn't care. Anyways.
Okay.
No, he said, I don't even know why I got off on that side issue. I'm not going to tell the story.
All right.
He was with Sean Penn and was acting like a complete cock. But anyways, my point is that we can all pretty much get something we want. We can't get everything we want.
Okay.
So what is it you want? Because you ain't going to be alive forever.
That's true.
You're now famous as the guy at 30 being evicted from his parents' house in court.
I want to get out of my parents' house, which you made possible. So
that $3,000 made that possible.
Yeah. And it's gonna happen. I'll get my things out of there in the amount of time that I have, and it will allow me to continue to pursue the things that I need to pursue without significant interruption as a result of the mandatory relocation. And that means a lot to me.
Well, that's good.
I hope that I conveyed that to you properly when you gave me the check on your.
No, I don't care. Yeah, the $3,000 is great. I did that to induce you to come here.
Okay.
But also to point out it's, a couple months rent at a decent apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just simply saying there's the adventure of getting out of your parents' nest.
Yep.
So I was trying to tell you the story of me, when I first started making American Story by Design, I had a job at a golf course.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a job selling memberships at a gym.
Uh-huh.
And I was working both jobs about 20 hours a week. Because the golf course was part-time, so was the gym. None of them wanted to have you as a full-time employee. It was contractors, so you didn't get benefits.
Right.
It's fine. So I got up, like I said, at the golf course job at like 5 a.m. to go do that. So the times I was doing the golf course a few days a week, I couldn't stay up late doing video editing.
Uh-huh.
So it took me about a year to make the film.
Yep.
That's a long story. Anyways, I'm just telling you, it wasn't easy. Everything wasn't done the way I wanted it to be.
Uh-huh.
But when I finally did it, I had the radio show, I had the platform. I thought, why do talk show hosts just have a coffee mug and a newsletter? I'm going to make a film proving what I say about the UN taking over the national parks and education in America, and I'm going to show them the proof. And the listeners responded. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's because of what you were talking about before, about how you're not doing a production, you're doing an ideology.
Exactly. But if you bring the ideology, then it will bring the financial independence. And money is great for money is great for independence in medicine and transportation. It's not our God.
Right.
It doesn't mean we don't like a nice car, nice dinner, but it's not like we're in it in a hierarchical way.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, Michael, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You came off as autistic on television.
Okay.
And you were telling me that in court, when they took your son away from you, not for anything bad you did, they were saying that you were basically incompetent.
That's how you described it before.
But you were saying that's what they said.
That's a very reasonable characterization of what happened.
Yeah. I don't think you're incompetent. And I've seen people like you that if they're given a chance to actually go out and have a mission and build on that, then the confidence of having their own apartment, their own car, then their own house, their own thing is infectious, and then they turn into a whole other person. Instead, there's a lot of people like you who don't just stay in their parents' house. They get recruited by the globalists. They get filled with a hateful ideology and then turn against us.
Mm-hmm.
And then they unthinkingly beaver away to attacking. Because you're a smart guy. You said a ton of witty stuff live on air today.
Yeah. Thanks.
I mean, you were very talkative earlier. You were about half the talk. Today, you're not talking much, or this afternoon, which is fine. I just want to dominate this discussion with you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have a lot to say, honestly. With I mean, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. So it's hard for me to really have something to share if we're both on the same page because you're explaining to me, about your ideology.
So what do you want to do with your life?
Well, I kind of want to run my business. I want to.
And what is your business?
I don't want to connect the two things. I don't want to bring.
But see, if you're on air with somebody, you don't have to get into your specifics.
Yeah. I don't have the infrastructure to support the kind of thing that if I mention it on air, I describe it on air.
So then you have to build another company that is in reality to then take the money to do the experimental thing. You can't always go to 12th grade in the first grade.
That's why I don't want to mention it. That's what I want to talk about.
Well, no, but you kind of hinted at it. It's like legal advice?
No.
We were saying you're like working on legal stuff?
It's my own legal stuff. It takes.
But listen, here's the thing. You have to say what your ideas are. Nobody's trying to steal them. I'm trying to understand this. What is just go past the fear. Go past the never getting here. What is the thing? What is the business? Just in a generality.
Tech. Information technology.
Okay. And there are a lot of guys like you who aren't stupid but are kind of quirky who have tech ideas. So, well, I mean, in general, what's the tech idea?
It's not really an idea. It's just an ideology.
And so, what is the ideology?
That the stuff that you get from me works.
Oh, really?
Yep.
It's like apps, or I mean, what is it?
Whatever it is that I offer. That if you come to me and I can offer it to you, and we go through with it, that ittle work.
I know, but sometimes you have to work with the tools you've got. Like I told you,
right?
I had old 1980s editing thing that no one would use. I had a used $100 camera. I mean, I had these things. I had a Radio Shack, $100 mic is all I could afford, wireless. I got my cousin to go with me on the road, but it didn't matter. People saw what it was successful. That's what I'm telling you. Is you gotta play with the cards you're dealt, man.
Right.
And if you win at the lower cards, then you get the bigger cards.
Right.
You see, you don't go to here automatically. You got to go through steps. Like if you're going up steps to a place, you jump all the way 5 floors up right away.
No. You do not.
So what I'm telling you is, in life, you've got to choose basic steps.
And
then you've got to try those steps. And if you fail, it doesn't matter because you're going to learn in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you meet bad people along the way doesn't mean everybody's bad.
Right. The bad people...
That's how racism happens. Like if you're a black person, you run into some racist white people, you think your whole life everybody who's white's racist. Or if you're somebody like me, I grew up in Dallas, so I had black friends when I was young that were nice. Then I ran into black racists that attacked me. I didn't blame all black people because I thought it was just people, good people, bad people. But see, other people, if they don't have enough experiences, if they don't have the good experience versus the bad experience, they don't understand there's different things out there.
You know what I've encountered? I've encountered black people who will not discuss racism because they do not believe that people who are not black can understand it, and it's fine if people who aren't black can't understand it. But I think that not sharing it is the wrong approach, and that's what I've encountered. I've asked African American people.
That's true too. But listen, the thing is real, but it's projected. We have the government documents to make it worse. It's amplified to just divert everybody from everything else that's happening.
In like the media or just
5G is going to kill 1 billion people in the next 20 years from cancer. Now tell me how the goddamn racism is important. 5G is going to kill 1 billion people.
Mm-hmm.
It's estimated.
What
does it matter what color your skin is? It's not that the race crap isn't going on. It's in the WikiLeaks that they project all the race stuff because that's how we're designed. We see each other what color we are.
Right.
We don't see radiation blasting through things, man.
Right.
But the globalists do. Do you understand?
Right.
Do you understand there is a scientific consciousness that is completely cold-blooded beyond anything you can imagine that is preying on you? And so as a man, you need to gut up and learn what that is and take the threat that's there and stop thinking by protecting yourself in a bubble and being real slow about everything, you're going to do anything. You're not. You're dying. You're dying. You're dying.
I would personally, I think that the racism is more important than the 5G thing because I mean, if we die sooner from cancer, does it matter if we died sooner? Does it matter that we led good lives without hatred?
See, this is the scrambled spiritualism I'm talking about.
Okay.
Do you understand that in China there are 100+ million people in forced labor camps right now?
I haven't heard that specifically, but I've heard there's a lot of terrible things in a lot of different countries.
Oh, the Central Committee, that's public.
I personally haven't heard.
They say Mao Zedong was responsible for 84 million dead. The Chinese do.
Okay.
That's in the. Our CIA says 65 million. I don't know the true number. 65, 84, whatever. Do you understand that they're killing millions of Buddhists every year and Christians and selling their organs?
I did not know that.
But see, there's not this psychological fun because it's Asians killing Asians. So it's not as sexy as Oprah Winfrey and Roots.
Okay.
And some dumbass black guy going, hey, with a bullwhip beating black people. Do you understand that industrial level human cloning is going on?
I did not understand that.
Oh, it's admitted. That's what I mean, brother. We're not in Kansas anymore. And they know that we are Christians and we've got guilt and we're the West. Even if we're not Christians, we have this ethos so that we're all worried about how we're bad while the whole system's moved on light years down hell. You've got to get past all this stuff. That's why I brought up the race stuff, because that's the new religion of the right and the left. That's all we worry about is it bad? How bad is it? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. CNN's whitewash about thousands having their organs harvested. That's all BS. It's hundreds of thousands. I'm telling you, man, does anybody, it's not just America. The whole world isn't just stuff we had in our past.
Mm-hmm.
The Russian serfs were only freed like 130 years ago.
Uh-huh. Could I have some more water? I'm running out.
Yeah, we'll get you some water. We'll get you some water. Let's go to the shot over here. I'm not belittling. Let's go to the watch. Yeah, I'm not here, brother. I'm not belittling anybody's problems.
Mm-hmm.
But if 5G is killing us, we should ban it instead of saying, what does it matter if we've had good lives? Or is 5G like a new life form to you, a new thing? You act like it was a girl, like it's a friend. Like 5G is already massively increasing brain tumors and already killing people in every lab study.
Personally,
so when I'm at, so wait.
Go ahead.
If it kills us, it doesn't matter as long as we're loving.
I don't. You could say I would. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, but it's a little.
No, I see what you're saying. It's very ethereal.
Yeah.
Just something neutral that kills us doesn't matter. But the human passion of people disliking each other for what color they are, that's paramount.
I don't think it's going to kill us as I don't think we need it either, the 5G, because realistically, the infrastructure that we have available to us.
Okay, well, they're putting it in ubiquitously. Let me ask you this. What do you eat in a day?
What do I eat in a day?
I'm not perfect, I'm myself, but what do you eat?
I eat a lot of beef. I like beef, so.
You take vitamins?
I don't. I try to eat vegetables, and I do.
Well, you don't look unhealthy. I do a lot of unhealthy things, but I'm going to give you some things. There's also a plug here. I'm going to give you Alpha Power.
Okay.
Which I had them set out for the body and mind formula, the strongest endocrine type booster that we can come up with safely. So okay. I want you to man up here
without a prescription. Safely without a prescription.
Well, yeah. Well, we're not going to call it a drug.
Okay.
We're not calling it a drug.
Right.
I just, this is Mother Nature.
Sure.
I'm going to give you 2 bottles of Alpha Power.
Okay.
Infowarsstore.com. Go ahead and take them.
Thank you.
And they couldn't find a new bottle around here. This is one I was taking in my office, but I'm only taking a few doses. This is X2.
Okay.
This is deep earth crystal iodine.
Okay.
The good halogen. And I'm serious. The pineal gland and all that, you need to research that. This is a big game changer. I used to swim 2 miles every couple days. All of a sudden, I couldn't lose weight. I'm still a little bit overweight. I'm a husky guy. But I lost like 40-something pounds once I started taking true iodine. Well, no, I was swimming and working out. I work out a lot less now because I've gotten lazy because of X2.
Okay.
The good halogen. You know what happens if you don't have real iodine in your body?
No.
Your body grabs the bad halogens, which are bromine, bromide, chlorine, and fluoride.
Uh-huh.
So a couple drops of X2 a day probably have a detox effect in about 3 weeks. And I'm serious. I want to have you back on after you've taken these. I want your real response. I saw some review of our stuff. They said, his super male didn't grow my hair back. We don't say it does that. In fact, it might make it fall out. So anyways, that's what testosterone does, I tell you. The Killing of Uncle Sam. This is one of the best history books currently written that is working with some top guys from the CIA and Pastor Rodney Howard Brown that you're going to read to understand how the world really works. This is ultra accurate.
Okay.
So we sell it at InfoWarsStore.com, but I want to challenge you. Will you read this book and come on and tell me what you thought?
How long do I have to read it?
Well, it's not YouTube. It's not the internet. It doesn't flicker beautifully.
You got to actually turn the pages yourself.
But if you do it by candlelight,
yeah,
it can have that effect. I'm asking you, will you read this book?
I will read it if you give me enough time to read it.
Well, how long does that take?
How many pages is it?
I mean, I read it in about a week and a half, only reading like 20 minutes a night. So it's, 300, 400 pages.
And 3 weeks?
Absolutely. We'll have you back on the show.
All right. Do I got to read that one too?
It's not got to.
But in the 3 weeks?
It's get to. No. This book, I mean, I can sell a lot of books. This is a very important book.
I don't want to come back and not have done my homework.
Well, let's do 3 weeks. You come on about this book?
Yeah.
Uncle Sam, Killing Uncle Sam. And then you heard of this guy, Roger Stone?
The name's familiar.
Well, he's Trump's former wingman.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what a wingman is?
Yeah.
What's a wingman?
Kind of like has like a tactical support type thing.
Yeah, there's no Russians, there's just women.
I would still describe it as a tactical support, but okay.
Well, no. Gay guys have beards. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
A lot of gay guys that are they'll have a woman they're married to, but they're really gay.
Oh, okay.
Trump's not gay.
Okay,
but Roger Stone has been his wingman for 40-something years, off and on.
Mm-hmm.
What's a wingman?
Well, you described it as having someone who helps you with women.
That's right.
Okay.
So you might want to read what Donald Trump's wingman has to say.
Okay.
Now there's that for you right there. Because see, you want to get in that world where there's wingmen. Can you imagine being part of that? Don't you want to be a wingman and then have a guy that's your wingman?
I would say that common interests can come and go as the concerns come and go.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, that you can have long lasting support from people who have common interests in you. And
Sure. I'm just frustrated that everybody thinks that Roger Stone knows stuff about Russians. There's nothing. Or that they're trying to indict him for financial stuff that's made up. And then the whole entire media does not even know, because they're so freaking stupid, what Roger Stone is. Not just a political advisor to Trump, what he is. I already knew this from other sources, and I went and looked. The New York Times knew 30 years ago who Roger Stone was to Trump. So I'm not giving out anything secret or any confidence.
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying you might want to read. The book should read Donald Trump's Wingman. Then it would be a bestseller. It doesn't really get into that, but it is How to Win at Politics, Business, and Style. Roger Stone, InfoWarsStore.com. But you'll probably buy it at Amazon because it's $1 cheaper. He gets $1.50 for every order you do of taxpayer money. So screw yourself. Go to Amazon and buy it. I don't care where you buy it because it supports Roger. But brother, here's the deal. We got 10 minutes left. What's your takeaway from the talk we've had?
That you and I share a lot of common. We share common ideology, and personally, it's a unique thing to have the ideology that you and I both have.
Well, quantify that ideology. Define that. define that ideology.
Like a grassroots type goal, like grassroots things built on grassroots growth.
Here's what you need to know. Your greatest accomplishment is the fact that your ancestors went through so many crises and threats and disease and war, and that you are their genetic expression.
Okay.
So you are your ancestors in that great space-time continuum. The fact that you exist is an ultra-massive success in this universe, where I would imagine biological life, compared to the sum spectrum of the universe's measurements, is in the Googleplex level sub-point calculation. So the fact that you exist and are made in the image of God, a sentient being in the space-time continuum, makes you a super creature in the entire vortex of this dimension.
Of existence. Or
existence.
Okay.
So there's that. Then there's the fact that you procreated, even though you ended up breaking up with your fiance or whatever, and then ended up losing your son.
We had a great relationship for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Understand? There's no judgment on you. That's a real thing. You went out, you found a woman, you had a child, you were fertile, you did that magic thing. That's the second thing you did. So you're part of this of the genetic and space-time electrochemical manifestation and genetic teleportation, time-traveling system. It's life. It seems like a long time to us, but it's
I know
milliseconds in the long.
Whole, like the universe and how it's all like.
I mean, I'm all my ancestors. There's a time. The genetics of that before me is hyper warping through time. So this is just my ancestors and the energy all saw a big threat to us coming up to this point. So they built in momentum and then manifested what was needed in their energy in this time space to put me in.
The cohesion of like existence and
exactly.
Yeah.
To take us, all of us, next level. So I'm a lot of people here. You understand?
We're all from each other.
Exactly. But I mean, they're good people. They're not aggressive and hateful. And I just got to take on some bad people. So it's like in my mother's womb, all of it was decided with the mitochondrial DNA and everything to weaponize for me to come out. You understand? But everybody has that to a lesser or greater degree. You have to decide to manifest that in your genetics, but it's sort of expressing in your brain. So it might not have been done in the womb, but you can do it later. So Michael Rotondo, I'm trying to get you out of your prison here. And I'm not saying you're a slave. I'm not saying you're a bad guy, but there's so many other big vistas for you. So number one, well, that's just some geopolitical stuff, but you might want to read it. It was given to you, but it was also a play. We got to fund something here. Now, that's all on this dimension, trying to get some.
I'll read it. I'll read it and we'll talk about it.
That's just about energy cubes, energon cubes. Now, moving forward, your ancestors had will and existed and were amazing at every different level. You now are here. You have now continued the bridge and created another level of that genetic electrochemical expression in the space warp you're making. So you've already executed the next level of the space warp. It's a space warp.
Okay.
Yes, you've now executed the next level. So,
like my son's a function of me, is what you're saying, kind of.
A function of all of that. Everybody is physically and electrochemically connected all the way back to wherever we came from.
Right.
It is like a power lines.
It's history.
It's power lines.
Yep.
It's power lines. You are back, whether it was billions of years, trillions of years, or 6,000 years, like misinterpretations of the Bible. You are a continual line of all those people.
Right.
Their juice, their guts, their sweat, what they saw went through those genes all the way through to what you are right now. Pretty big.
That's what makes life so exciting.
And now you've taken the next step. You had a child. Doesn't mean you're perfect, and not everybody lives in this thing. I don't mean that metaphysically or physically, it can be both. Now, the next thing is the world has decided to create a buffered nanny state so that more powerful individuals don't manifest towards the next jump, which is going to be even harder. And so there's a conflict going on to kill this experiment of consciousness before it goes to the next level, because it's a particularly powerful experiment in consciousness by the mastermind.
Don't you believe that people inherently wish to pursue, higher levels of consciousness or their dreams or things like that? Do you think that's inherent to people, or do you think that's a function of their environment, more or less exclusively?
It's totally inherent to people.
Okay.
And the entire VR world is about taking you into a full system of dreams so that you don't have the real dreams. And all the numbers show TV, internet, all this sequesters the dreams when it's standard programming.
Right.
So what I'm telling you is you already have the dream. You're in the dream. So you just want to sit there at your house and you kind of feel like you get caught in that. You have to build the stairway to the rocket by doing the petty things our ancestors did. Thousands of years ago, they dreamed of gods and wars and all these sophisticated things and world governments and Mark of the Beast thousands of years ago and pillars of fire. They could already see the future, but they had to have sailing ships and mathematics and teach people and slowly build the steps. And now we're at the door into the next level. But people that already got to the door looked back and decided, if all of them go through the door, they're going to challenge us on the other side. We need to cut them off so they don't go through the door. They don't know that that's the secret. You cut people off from the door, you don't actually go through the door. There's a trap door if you keep them from going through the door where they drop you.
Now,
you understand that?
Yeah, I do. Where do you think that comes from? All that the tricks and the why because I asked you said you believe it's inherent that people pursue their dreams. What is it that is or is not inherent about the origin of these other things that are?
Well, there's the knowledge of good. If you believe the allegory of Adam,
where does the bad stuff come from? Is what I'm asking you.
Well, if you're perfect and you understand how the universe works, and you've got an unlimited energy supply, you don't need to engage in manipulative systems. But in the knowledge of evil is knowledge of distortion and knowledge of manipulation.
Okay.
And so we have the knowledge of good and evil. And the modern church teaches us, don't have the knowledge of evil, be a sheep. That's another distortion. No, the knowledge of evil, now that we're in this paradigm, is good because we have the knowledge of how the enemy's operating with the knowledge of evil. The mainline Christian argument is you don't want to engage the knowledge of evil because it's so seductive that if you knew that, you could get ahead with that knowledge of evil.
What if you just chose not to be evil?
But then the definition is broad. You shouldn't try, we're going to end this in a minute, to make your parents, because you have a vision and you want it to work the way you want. The essence of evil is selfishness. And so you're forcing them that gave you life to live under your paradigm on your timetable when you have to respect them as your progenitors. By doing that, you cut yourself off from the entire birthright. And it doesn't matter whether they're good or perfect or bad. You don't respect your parents. You don't then basically take on the future. I think you should go back, no matter what your parents have done to you, and say, thank you for life. And I appreciate you. And I'm going to try to figure out ways to make money and to be a good part of the society. I'm going to figure out how ways just to build my own house, my own life. And from that, then, if you can do those basics, then the big ideas you have will come. Because everyone has those big dreams. They have those big destinies because you are big. Humanity's potential, like a seed, is great. But some seed falls in the rough gravel and sprouts a little bit, but then the sun comes and burns it. And some seeds even fall in the fertile ground, but birds come and eat it. And some seeds, they get blown around by the wind, and a bunch of them die, but one of them kind of goes down in a little crevice in the ground, and it sprouts up into a big tree that creates a whole new world. And so you have to understand that just the simple things and just the little things create the larger universe around us. And so because you have big visions in your mind, you shouldn't have to expect that they've got to be manifested right now. What will manifest those things is you improving your personal self and learning to operate in the world and learning that you can't have the perfection you want until you have begun to build the system so that you can help other people and do things on a larger scale. And then you'll find the problems only increase and become more sophisticated. The enemies become more sophisticated as you go into that, but it's only more empowering. And for every level that gets ratcheted up against you, you'll find that then the energy on the other side comes up to meet it. So you get into the whole metaphysical situation, Michael Rotondo. But in closing, I just want to say that I don't think you're a loser.
Thank you.
And I think on the spectrum of things, turning you into a laughing stock only shields the fact that the people running the system are artificially trying to create the very thing that you're part of. And Hillary says she hates people like you because on average they're her supporters because they want something free. You're outside that. I get that. And then Trump is trying to build a system that kicks you out of the nest so that you can experience that. And I think your greatest accomplishment after your ancestors existing, after you being born, after having a child, and after now struggling in the fight to stay in the nest as if that's your island, your world, is that now your parents kicking you out and your fight finally, as if gravity was brought into the world, against your parents to stay where you thought and defend your world is forcing you to realize there's a larger world out there and that now you're going to enter that world and begin to realize how that hierarchy works and understand there's not a perfect way to do this because it's all a continuum.
Do you remember when Donald Trump, how much time do we have left?
About 5 minutes, go ahead.
Do you remember when Donald Trump tried to make his personal doctor in charge of the VA?
Yes.
You remember when that got turned down because he didn't have the experience running the VA?
But he did have the experience. But that's how they defined it.
Right. So you don't support that? You think that that because he chose that person to do that based on that person?
No, he's the president. I elected him.
Right.
The guy's a doctor. We need a doctor running it instead of bureaucrats.
The president, his doctor, who the president chose to run the VA, that didn't happen, right?
No.
Why do you think that is?
Because they wanted to keep the corporate elites in charge and don't want they're blocking the president at every level.
I think so too. I think he should, the president's doctor should be in charge of the VA. I think it would be better for the healthcare of the veterans. And I think that veteran healthcare is really expensive.
Well, if he doesn't do a good job in 6 months, he's fired. Trump knows you got to move people through and get the change. We don't even know. The point is Trump's trying to get success. You understand? It doesn't rise and fall on one thing. He's firing a lot of people.
Why didn't he write an executive order just to make the... Did he have the power?
There's a congressional. It's a government department.
Oh, really?
So there's separation of powers. So the Congress has the funding purse power.
Because
and he probably could have.
Dollars.
He could probably override it if he wanted to. Yeah, that comes a constitutional fight. Listen, I came in here, was wanting to talk to you. I've kind of been preaching at you. I'm just trying to get you to think small.
Okay.
Because thinking small towards a big goal.
Yep.
Is thinking big. I know so many people like you and like others that try to overthink things and want it to be perfect when they execute it instead of just getting it done. It's not going to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So many people, they try to fight with you. They'll punch you and get a good blow in and they stand back to see what it did. You don't think about who's winning in a fight.
That's true.
You think about beating their ass. So, and I don't use that analogy because it's so base. The guys that win fights are the ones that aren't thinking about who's winning. They're thinking about taking somebody on.
I understand what you mean.
I'm just saying, you need to not be mad. Don't get all into the argument of should you be with your parents, shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. You should be thinking about what's the best deal in the safest area. You don't even have your son back yet, but statistically, what's the safest area? What's near jobs? What's near transportation? Where can I get a place? What can I do? You should be thinking about, and you should be it's at a pizza place or doing something for whoever. You should be, when media calls you up wanting to fly you, because I've seen you on national TV, you should say, yeah, I need $1,000 to take off. You probably would have made $20,000 all the interviews you did. I wanted to give you $3,000 to pay for your flight to show you, not because, see, a globalist would look at you and say, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Let me take advantage of him. There's 7 billion people. Most of them are retarded.
Uh-huh.
This has been done by design. They're getting ready to cull everybody. They got the race-specific bioweapons ready, everything. I really don't want to be part of this process. I've been offered to be part of it. I really don't want to do it. So I don't want to kill you. You understand?
Okay, yeah. That's good to hear.
I'm not joking around, brother.
All right.
I'm not going to kill you. I'm saying, but I do represent on the good side the brainiac consciousness. The way I'm talking is standard operating procedure at the highest levels.
Okay.
This is the language. And you're like humanity over there, caught in a lullaby, caught in this trance with the computers and the entertainment and the choices, and they're trying to arrest your development in this, extended adolescence, which is done by design. And I'm telling you, that's death. That is statistically meant to destroy you. It doesn't matter if you're still a good guy. It doesn't matter if you're not a bad person. It doesn't matter. I get that. I'm saying these parameters statistically are designed like slaughterhouses for you to ship men into destruction. You understand?
I understand what you're saying.
The young boys that kind of buzz out and go into their own little world, they leave alone. The ones that stand up, they put on Ritalin.
I'm familiar with that.
Oh, you been on Ritalin?
No. They stopped doing Ritalin a long time ago. Ritalin gets abused.
Well, now they call it Adderall, whatever.
Adderall.
Are you on any drugs now?
No.
When I said you act like you have a little bit of what they call autism, that's just their own term for it. The point is you need to realize that you're eccentric.
Uh-huh.
And have you ever done oil painting?
Oil painting?
Mm-hmm.
No.
You have enough of a name right now. If you struck while the iron was hot and started a website about yourself,
yep,
and started a Twitter,
yep,
and just said things you thought about the world, and,
right,
and then you're a little late, but if somebody like me promoted you a little bit, you would then be able to make a living selling oil paintings and making statements. I mean, I could see. Here's the thing: if you listen to me,
I'm not an artist like that, though.
Oh, exactly. You couldn't do that. Exactly. If you listen to me I could see 50 paths for you. And if you listen to one path, I could just not control what you did, but just give you a path. Because you're just an example of humanity right here, right now. Millennial, caught in the mind wash. So you won't. You're just well, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. But you could get on an airplane and get paid $3,000 to come here. And that's why I did this.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that, don't you?
I do.
And that check will clear the bank when you cash it.
I can't imagine that it wouldn't have.
I know. Well, listen, Michael, we got 30 seconds left, a minute left. Any final statements you want to make?
Thank you for having me on the show. I really, it means you and I are going to be dealing with each other and working together for a while.
But not if you don't start taking steps.
We'll get there. We'll.
No, we're not going to get there. The getting there is going up the steps. If you don't step on the first step and then step on the second step and step on the third step, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Then you can't get to the eighth step. I know what you mean.
I'm not comparing you to a dog, but I had a Labrador Retriever, German Shepherd mix named Max when I was about 6 years old. And we lived by the highway, and somebody dumped him off. He was a sweet dog, but every time we tried to go, even he lived down when he was 15 years old, a hip dysplasia. I was there. He put him in the bed with me. Right before I moved out of my parents' house, strangely enough. He died the week before I moved out. I was like 18. I had him when I was like 5 years old, 6 years old, and we're putting the dog in the bed with me, sleeping with him, and I woke up, he was cold and dead in the morning, but he'd had a heart attack, we thought. But the point was, every time I tried to load him up in my truck or my dad's Land Cruiser, he would get scared and piss everywhere because he thought we were going to go dump him.
How much time do we have left?
We're almost over. The point I'm telling you is, listen, he couldn't get over that trauma. I never beat the dog.
Right.
I love that dog. I buried that dog myself.
Mm-hmm.
That was the dog of my childhood. But he couldn't get past the trauma, and he couldn't trust me to get in the car because he thought I was whoever it was. We got him, he was probably about 7 months old, who was nice to him and sweet to him, but then dumped him on the side of the road.
I grew up with my grandmother's dog, Sandy, and she was my friend for years. And I remember your father brought your dog to you to die with you. My father came into my bedroom one day and told me that Sandy was dead.
Well, she might have died. That's not, he died, right?
She brought her and killed her. He brought her to the pound, or not to the pound.
Well, he thought you were emotionally weak and couldn't handle it.
Really?
He
thought that I was emotionally weak and couldn't handle what?
Well, I was 18 and still living there, and the dog fell over. And clearly, and my dad checked him and said, "Yeah, his heart's palpitating. They're not going to be able to save him." He was 15, everything. So I got the dog and stuck it in the bed with me. And went to sleep, and he was dead in the morning.
So you did that?
Well, I lived there. And it was almost like an archetypal sign. My dog's dead, time to go. Because a week later, I moved out. That was the whole point of his childhood's end. Mm-hmm. But what I'm telling you about the dead dog is that people get trauma, and then they live by that trauma their whole life because the story was about the dog, not its death.
Mm-hmm.
The dog pissed itself and moaned and ran every time we tried to take it on a road trip.
Right.
Even though we took it on probably 50 to 100 road trips, it still had the trauma.
I think the most important part is the question of, is it your speculation that my father handled Sandy that way because he thought that I was emotionally weak, or is it?
No, the story was about the dog's trauma.
I'm asking you where you're getting that information.
No. I'm saying, where am I getting it from? I'm telling you, I've seen this before.
Where are you getting that particular?
People have to get. The dog was an animal. It was good, but it would not
have available that information. It would not.
It would not get past that it was traumatized, and no matter how nice I was to it for 15 years, or 14 is what it was, that it would not go to the vet, it would not go to the park, it would not go on a road trip with me, even though the road trips, it would always jump out of the car happily.
Right.
It thought it was being taken to be dumped and would beg me and plead like a person every time I took it, even though I did nothing to it, because somebody else did something bad to it.
Right.
And that's what the globalists do, is they pump out all this abuse to then blame on other people. And I'm telling you, you can't be like that dog just because you've had a bad experience in the world. You got to get back up on the horse and roll the dice again.
With the same thing.
No, it's always different. It's not the same thing. The definition of insanity is believing it's the same thing. The dog, the story is about the dog always being traumatized and me having to traumatize it to take it to the vet or to the park or to go anywhere. Having to pick it up while it pissed on me until the day it died, begging me not to take it away because of whoever it was taken away from. I didn't betray the dog. But every time I took it somewhere, I had to metaphysically experience the betrayal of the dog psychically again, because dogs are very psychic.
Right.
Psychic, that's why we have them around, the psychic buffers. Look, I'm going to leave you alone about these issues. The point,
we'll talk, so we can talk.
The point is, I can't talk to you unless you start taking steps. Because you are patient zero in extracting the millennials out of the trance they're in. Just like dogs that have been abused by the technology and the system and the neglect and the latchkey crap and all of it, you have to stop following the same thing. You're not that dog. You're not that same person. You're not reliving the same thing over and over again. It's a whole new world out there. You got to go. Your plane's in like an hour.
Oh, geez.
We're right, an hour and 20 minutes, but you're right down the road.
All right.
Hey, we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I can come on. I don't have to come down here. I mean, if we can do something quick over the phone, we can do that too.
All right, you'll come on. Michael, Rotondo, take your stuff with you. God bless you. That's it for the live transmission.